The file was labeled Crime 422 Raw in all caps, like it wanted to be noticed. He didn't remember downloading it. No source, no metadata. Just sitting there in his desktop's root folder, pulsing like a warning. Liam said, "I didn't open it, not for days." He lied. The video started with darkness, no timestamp, no music, no static. Just silence. And then a hallway. Pale yellow walls, paint bubbling. A woman's voice whispered, "Are you recording this?" And a man laughed. The camera turned sharply. She wasn't scared. She was smiling. But the smile didn't match her eyes. She looked rehearsed. "I'm ready," she said. The frame jittered. Then her body jerked backward. A bang key. Then static. Then nothing. Liam watched it again. And again. And every time it ended the same way, with the sound of a body hitting the floor. But there was no blood. No entry wound. No panic. Just a performance. "It's fake," he whispered, trying to believe it. But the fourth time he watched it, something changed. In the background, behind the blur, he saw himself. Not directly. A reflection. In a picture frame. Watching. Frozen. Smiling. He told himself it was just a deepfake. A prank. A file spliced together to scare him. People made worse things for attention. He even Googled AI crime hoax videos and closed the tab immediately. But it wasn't the footage that unsettled him. It was how familiar it felt. The hallway. The wallpaper. The sound of the man's laugh. It wasn't just close, it was perfect. Identical to a memory he'd locked away, one that didn't belong to him. Liam said, "I've never seen her before." And yet her face lingered in the dark spaces of his dreams for weeks. Each night, the woman's voice returned just before he woke up, always whispering the same thing. "This time, don't pretend you don't remember." It didn't feel like a video. It felt like a warning. And somehow, deep in his chest, Liam knew this wasn't fiction. It was a recording of something that had already happened, or was going to. The file couldn't be traced. No metadata, no compression history. He ran it through forensic tools, nothing. As if it was born inside his machine. His hands trembled. The girl's voice, when isolated, carried traces of echo artifacts, but not synthetic ones. Real room acoustics. Real pain. Liam whispered, "It's not acting." A flash of a face appeared in his mind. Younger. Freckles. A girl at a summer camp. He didn't know her name. He didn't know why it mattered. But he remembered a scream. One that never made it into the official reports. Something was bleeding through. Something old. He didn't film the video. But it felt like it remembered him. And that scared him more than if he had. 3 nights later, he found a second video. Not on his computer. On his phone. No notifications. No history. Just there in the gallery. Same title, Crime 422 Raw. But the hallway was different this time. Cleaner. Wine. Brighter. The woman didn't fall. She turned, looked directly into the lens and said, "You forgot again." Liam dropped the phone. When he picked it up, the video was gone. His gallery was empty. But the thumbnail still floated in his mind, her eyes fixed on him, waiting for recognition. Liam couldn't tell anyone. Who would believe him? Files appearing on their own. A woman he didn't know accusing him in dreams and videos. So he watched again. And again. And each time she changed. A hand lifted. A blink delayed. A whispered word different. The video was alive. It wasn't showing him the past. It was watching him remember it. Before any of this, Liam wasn't particularly remarkable. A part-time systems analyst, low risk and quieter than the silence he lived in. He rented a second-story apartment where the walls hummed with the static of neighbors' lives. He didn't mind being overlooked. The only photo on his wall was of a lake, unnamed, somewhere in the Pacific Northwest. taken when he was 12. No people in it. Just fog. That's how he liked things. Soft, distant, untouchable. But lately, the fog outside his window seemed to match the one inside his head. Memories felt out of order, like they were being rearranged in his sleep. His coffee mug, always placed left of the sink, now sat to the right. Shoes he never wore were scuffed. A scarf he never owned hung beside the door. Liam told himself it was stress. Sleepwalking. Anything but the thing clawing at the back of his mind. That maybe the video wasn't lying. Maybe it was reminding, not creating. He started keeping notes. A lined notebook with a torn cover, bought from a gas station. Woke at 3:42 a.m. Mug moved. Door unlocked. Heard voice in hallway. The handwriting was crooked. Not his usual style. Don't forget again, he wrote on the bottom margin, circled 3 times. He didn't remember writing that. Some pages were already there when he opened the book. Half-legible sketches of the woman's face. Scribbled floor plans. The word, help, written vertically on the inside cover. When did this become his life? A horror script he hadn't written. A guilt he hadn't earned, or maybe had, but buried. He flipped a page, and found a photo tucked in the crease. Grainy. Old. A group of kids around a fire. His face among them. Younger. Doll. Freckled girl beside him, holding his hand. Her eyes staring into the lens, accusing even then. Liam visited his mother the next day. She lived in a care home on the east edge of the city. Early onset dementia had set in 2 years ago. She often mistook him for his father, or no one at all. But today, as he sat beside her in the garden, she reached for his hand and said, "You still hear her, don't you?" He froze. She smiled gently, eyes cloudy but piercing. "You heard her first. That's why it started." Liam whispered, "Who?" She tilted her head and said, "The girl in the lake." He laughed nervously, but it felt rehearsed. There was no lake. There was never a lake. And yet, her words settled inside him like a stone dropped in water. He didn't ask for more. He was too afraid of what else she remembered. That night, he took the photo from the notebook and scanned it. Ran facial recognition. Unsolved. The system flagged one face. Sarah Elwyn, reported missing in 2002. Age, 12. Last seen at a summer camp in Oregon. No suspects. Case cold. Liam was at a camp that year. He remembered marshmallows. Not murder. But her name clawed at something inside him. The folder said nothing. But beneath it all, a hidden file surfaced, recovered cache. A partial video log. Just 3 seconds. A girl's face lit by firelight. She turned, looked into the lens and whispered, "You left me." Liam recoiled. Closed the laptop. But the audio kept playing. Long after the lid shut. Her voice echoing from nowhere. "You left me." He visited the lake. The one from the photo. He didn't remember the road there, but his feet moved like they knew. Fog clung to the trees, and the air smelled like rain and wood rot. The dock was still there. Collapsing, skeletal. The water, black and silent. He stood at the edge, heart hammering. His reflection barely visible. Something shifted beneath the surface, ripples without wind. And then, for a second, he saw her. Face just under the water. Eyes open. When? Lips moving. "Don't pretend," she mouthed. He stumbled back. But the water was calm again. He didn't scream. He just stood there. Silent. Remembering Dawn. Liam didn't go home. Instead he checked into a motel 2 towns over. He paid cash. No ID. The clerk didn't ask questions. Room 8 smelled like mildew and sadness. He locked the door, stuffed towels under the crack, and powered up his laptop. He didn't know what he was searching for, but he knew it wasn't on the surface web. He dove deep, Forums, dark archives, missing caseboards, psychic chat rooms. All while Sarah's voice rang between his ears. Don't pretend. Over and over. In one thread, buried under cryptic usernames and corrupted posts, he found something. A reference to the Rememberers. A group maybe. Maybe a cult. Maybe a warning. Their tagline, truth forgets, guilt remembers. He clicked the link. Error 403. But before it failed, a single image loaded, distorted frame from the same hallway video. Only this time, he wasn't in the background. He was in the foreground, holding the camera. The hallucinations started the next morning. Maybe they weren't hallucinations. Maybe they were returns. Liam opened the motel bathroom mirror and found a post-it stuck to the inside glass. Yellowed. Faded. Written in his handwriting, "She drowned because of you." He stumbled back, heart pounding. He checked his notebook. That page was torn. And when he looked up again, the post-it was gone. Later that day at a gas station, a child looked at him and asked, "Are you the man from the lake?" Liam laughed, too hard, too fast. The kid's mother yanked him away. Liam whispered to himself, "This isn't real." But the edges of reality had started to curl like burnt paper. Things that didn't happen were louder than the ones that did. And the worst part, it felt right. Like he deserved it. He didn't sleep. Couldn't. The footage wouldn't stop playing in his head. Only now, new fragments had appeared. Not on screen. In memory. Dotty Dentu. He remembered standing on a dock, the girl crying, and him turning away. Not because he wanted to, but because someone told him to. A voice he couldn't place. In the motel, he drew a map from memory. Trees. The fire pit. The trail that led nowhere. Each stroke of the pen felt like opening a wound. He called the old camp. No answer. Records gone. Burned down in 2005. No survivors listed. No victims either. Just ash and silence. But Liam remembered fire. Remembered smoke. And he remembered someone screaming his name from the water. The name he tried to forget. Sarah. He returned to the lake. It wasn't a choice. It was a pull. The kind grief disguises as instinct. Fog was heavier this time. Thicker. Tiny. The dock groaned under his weight. He whispered her name. The water didn't move. Until it did. A pale hand broke the surface, just fingertips. Then it vanished. He dropped to his knees, breath ragged. "What do you want?" he asked. A voice behind him answered, "To be seen." He turned. No one. But there were footprints on the dock. Wet, bare, small, leading toward him. Not away, not away. He backed up slowly, terrified. But the truth was, this was the first time he didn't feel alone. And that was worse. The motel mirror cracked during the night. No impact. Just a clean, thin fracture across the middle. Straight and deliberate. Liam stared at it in the dark. In the reflection, he didn't blink. His reflection did not follow. It smiled. Slowly. Teeth visible. Liam whispered, "I'm sorry," to no one. Or maybe to himself. Because what scared him wasn't the idea that the video was fake. What scared him was that he might have made it. That somewhere inside him, buried beneath years of silence, guilt had been filming all along. Not as punishment, but as proof. That he knew. That he always knew. And that forgetting wasn't forgiveness. It was a lie. Liam returned to the care home. He didn't plan to. His feet just brought him there. His mother was asleep, but her door was open. On the side table, a VHS tape sat alone. No label. Just 422 scrawled on the spine in black ink. His heart stuttered. He hadn't seen a VCR in years, but her room had one tucked beneath the old TV. He slid the tape in. The screen flickered. The hallway again. The woman again. But something new. A figure behind her, masked, silent, and unmoving. His mother stirred and whispered, "He wore your face." Liam turned to her. "What?" She blinked, then smiled and said, "You remember now, don't you?" And that was when he realized. The man in the video, the one holding the camera, had always been him. He hadn't watched a crime. He had recorded it. He fled the room. His mother called after him, but her voice warped, twisting into Sarah's. "You filmed it," she said from everywhere. "You let it happen." The hallway stretched impossibly long. Lights flickered. Liam's steps echoed louder than they should. Every door looked the same. Every turn felt wrong. He gripped the wall, breathing hard. This wasn't the care home. Not anymore. It was that hallway, the one from the video. And he was walking straight through it, frame by frame. At the end, he saw a door marked exit. He reached for it. Behind him, the woman's voice whispered, "Don't leave me again." He froze, hand on the knob, and turned around. Inside the room, the air was thick. Mold, dirt, dust, night, memory, desolate. It wasn't real, but it was. A table sat in the center. On it, an old camcorder, the kind used in the late 90s. Liam walked to it, hands shaking. Pressed play. The screen lit up. Summer. Fire pit. Laughter. A group of kids. Sarah, younger, turned to camera and said, "Liam, promise you won't let them scare me." The camera nodded. Then the frame jerked. Darkness. Screaming. Rushing water. And silence. A final frame. Liam's face in reflection, dead-eyed, holding the camera like a shield. He dropped the camcorder. He backed away. But something in him broke open. Not from what he saw, from how it felt. Familiar. Real. Well. True. One. When he woke, he was lying outside. Grass beneath him. Dawn above. The camcorder was gone. His phone buzzed. A new video. No title. Just a thumbnail of him, filming. He opened it. Sarah stood at the lake's edge. Turned to camera. "Do you remember it now?" she asked softly. "You rent the monster. But you didn't stop one either." Liam's breath caught. In the background, a man's shadow, older, larger, loomed behind her. The video ended just as she turned to run. And Liam screamed. Not because of the shadow, but because he remembered what happened next. And it wasn't an accident. And it wasn't someone else. Liam returned home for the first time in days. Everything was where he left it, yet nothing felt familiar. The hallway lights flickered. His reflection in the entry mirror didn't move. The final video sat on his desktop, waiting. He opened it. A single shot, the original crime scene, but no actors. No sound. Just stillness. And at the center, a photo of Sarah, burned around the edges. Behind it on the wall, written in soot, "You let him." Liam wept. Not for what he'd done, but for how long he denied it. And in the silence of his apartment, he finally said it aloud. It wasn't someone else. The air didn't move, but he felt it. Forgiveness wasn't coming. Liam stood in front of the police station for hours. Not pacing. Not hesitating. Just standing. Like confession might come easier if it came on its own. But he knew what he had to do. He walked in. Told the desk officer, "I need to report a crime. One I recorded. One I might have helped commit." The officer raised an eyebrow. "When did it happen?" Liam's lips trembled. 23 years ago. They asked for names. He gave Sarah's. The officer typed, frowned, then called a supervisor. The supervisor came down. Older man. Quiet voice. "That case was sealed," he said. "No leads. No evidence. No body." Liam nodded. "I have video." The man stared. "Where did you get it?" Liam whispered. "I made it." The silence afterward wasn't relief. It was recognition. Like they'd been waiting for him to come forward. Like they already knew. In the interrogation room, everything felt smaller. The table. The light. The truth. Liam placed the flash drive on the table like a loaded weapon. "It's all there," he said. The detective, mid-50s, eyes like cracked glass, slid it closer, plugged it in, played the video. They both watched. No one spoke. It wasn't the crime that made Liam tremble. It was his voice behind the camera. Laughing. Joking. Whispering. "She's fine." The detective paused the footage. "You weren't alone," he said. Liam nodded. "No. Who was with you?" Liam opened his mouth but nothing came out. He didn't know. Or didn't want to remember. But a name hovered just outside his reach. A name too heavy to speak. The detective leaned closer. "You know what we do with accomplices?" Liam said quietly. "We bury them, same as we buried her." They left him alone after that. No cuffs. No cell. Just silence. A legal gray zone wrapped in unresolved grief. Hours passed. The hallway outside grew quiet. Then the lights dimmed. Power surged. On the table, the screen flickered. Unplugged, but glowing. The video played on its own. This time, a new frame. The camera panned back, showing more than before. Another boy. Younger. Die? Angry. Shouting. Liam watched, breath catching. It wasn't just him. There was another. One he hadn't seen. One he'd forgotten. He stood and shouted for help. The door didn't open. The screen cut to black. Then a sentence appeared. "It was never just you." Liam sank into the chair, hands gripping the table like it might steady the world. "I wasn't the only one," he whispered. But the truth still stung. Because he hadn't stopped it. Not then. Not now. When they finally opened the door, Liam wasn't the same. He wasn't angry. He wasn't scared. He was something worse. Clear. The detective asked if he was ready to give a full statement. Liam nodded. "But not to you." The detective frowned. "Then to who?" "To her," Liam said. And they let him go. No cuffs. No charges. No case reopened. He walked out, past the receptionist, past the waiting room full of faces that didn't matter. The sun had risen, but it felt cold. Like the world had moved on from Sarah long ago. But Liam hadn't. Not anymore. There was one thing left to do. He had to go back to where it happened. Not to run from it, but to speak it out loud. In the place where her voice never left. The lake was unchanged. Still. Waiting. Liam stood at the edge of the broken dock, the camcorder in his hands. He found it returned to his apartment. No note. No sign of entry. Just sitting there, like it had never left. He pressed play. The screen showed the final moment. Sarah turning to him. "You could have stopped him," she said. "Why didn't you?" Liam answered aloud, "Because I thought I was protecting myself." He knelt, lowered the camcorder into the water, watched it sink slowly, vanishing beneath the dark. "I'm sorry," he whispered, tears sliding silently down his face. The water didn't move, but it heard. And though it didn't forgive, it accepted. Liam didn't expect peace. He didn't find it. What he found was stillness, the kind that follows devastation. He quit his job, sold his belongings, and moved into a small apartment above a bookstore no one went to. Days passed like static. He spoke little, slept rarely. The lake visited him in dreams, but it no longer screamed. It just watched. He kept the same routine. Open window at dawn, tea at 6, notebook beside the bed. Not to forget, but to remember honestly. The hallucinations faded. The videos stopped. But the guilt never left. It hung in the corners like dust. He wrote Sarah's name every morning, sometimes twice. He didn't do it for forgiveness. He did it so she would never be lost again. The bookstore owner didn't ask questions. A quiet woman in her 60s, always wearing gray, always smelling faintly of paper and lemon balm. She let Liam organize the back shelves, gave him silence instead of sympathy. He was grateful. One afternoon, she handed him a small box. This came in the mail, no return address. Inside was a photograph, black and white, of the lake, and a note typed on old paper. There were others. Find them. Liam stared at the photo for a long time. Something in the trees. A face? A shadow? He didn't want to follow it. But truth, once found, refuses to be buried. Not again. He started researching again. Not as a man haunted, but as a man responsible. He dug through records, summer camp registries, obituaries, local archives. Patterns emerged. Children who vanished, witnesses who recanted, and in nearly every case, footage, small clips, grainy reels sent anonymously. He wasn't alone. Someone had been keeping track. Someone who remembered when the rest of the world moved on. Each new file had the same whisper at the end. Not Sarah's voice. Someone older. Male. Lie. Truth forgets. Guilt remembers. The rememberers weren't a myth. They were watchers. Archivists. Curators of buried pain. And Liam had become one of them. He found her brother. Sarah's. Older by 3 years. Name, Adam Elwin. Last known address, a trailer on the outskirts of a forgotten county. Liam drove for hours. Dirt roads. Fog. Dumb. When Adam opened the door, he stared at Liam like he'd been expecting him. Took you long enough, he said. Inside, walls were covered in stills from the video. Every frame. An altar of broken time. You're the one who filmed it, Adam said. Liam nodded. But I wasn't the only one. Adam laughed bitterly. You don't know the half of it. He handed Liam a folder. Start here, he said. Then ask yourself who told you to stop filming. Liam drove home in silence. The folder sat in the passenger seat like a sleeping animal. He didn't open it. Not yet. The truth was no longer urgent. It was patient, waiting for him to be ready. As the road stretched ahead, the sky broke open in the distance. Rain falling in slow waves across empty fields. For the first time in weeks, Liam smiled. Not from happiness, but from something older. Understanding, maybe. He hadn't escaped the past. He'd just accepted his place inside it. And sometimes, that was enough. The video didn't lie, but memory did. And now, he finally knew the difference. Months passed. The world kept spinning. People forgot, but Liam didn't. Every morning, he placed Sarah's name at the top of a fresh page. Sometimes he wrote nothing else. Sometimes he filled it with names he was still trying to find. He kept the folder from Adam sealed, unopened, at the bottom of his desk drawer. He wasn't ready yet. But he would be. The rememberers had no central office, no badges, no plan. Just the truth, and those willing to carry it. Liam didn't know if justice was ever possible, but clarity was. And sometimes that was enough. He walked the bookstore aisles in silence, fingers brushing titles long forgotten. History no one read anymore. Names no one spoke aloud. But he remembered. And for now, remembering was resistance. One day, a child came in. No older than 10. Dark eyes. Serious face. She pointed at Liam without hesitation and said, "You're the man from the stories." He froze. "What stories?" he asked. The girl said, "The ones my sister told me before she disappeared." Liam knelt. What was her name? The girl didn't answer. She just handed him a crumpled piece of paper. A drawing. A lake. A dock. Dot. A girl waving. A shadow in the trees. She said someone would come, the girl whispered, and he'd know what to do. Liam stared at the drawing, feeling the weight settle again in his chest, not crushing, but anchoring. A signal. The work wasn't done. The remembering had only begun. That night, Liam opened the folder. Not because he wanted to. Because he had to. Inside were names. Photos. Dates. Newspaper clippings with water-stained ink. Handwritten annotations. The same phrase repeated over and over. They all forgot. Liam laid them out across the floor. Piece by piece. Face by face. Story by story. And in that quiet apartment, he began reading them aloud. One by one. Not as a eulogy. As a promise. That they would not be erased again. That someone saw them. And someone remembered. His voice cracked. His hands trembled. But he didn't stop. The truth had waited long enough. In a box beneath his bed, Liam placed the final copy of the hallway footage. Labeled. Dated. Januar. Not hidden. Preserved. Above it he placed the notebook. The one filled with names. Some scratched out. Others circled in red. Then he closed the lid. Not as denial. As documentation. The past wasn't going away. But it could be known. And known things had power. He stood by the window, watching dusk stretch across the rooftops. Somewhere, another child was waking from a nightmare. Somewhere else, another truth was being buried. But tonight, one of them had been remembered. And that mattered. Years from now, someone would find the tape. Or the notebook. Or the name scribbled in the margins of a forgotten book. Antidual. They might not understand it. But they'd feel it. The weight. The ache. The echo. And they'd ask, who was she? And maybe they'd follow it. Or maybe they wouldn't. But they'd have the chance. And that was more than Sarah ever had. The final words of the last recording echo in Liam's memory. Her voice steady now. I'm still here. He whispers back, alone in the dark. I know. It isn't victory. It isn't redemption. It's truth. And truth finally is enough.